Today is a special Sunday. Not only do we have our children and teens with us for the service, but it's also Flower Communion Sunday. We begin our service today with some thoughts about the Flower Communion. The ritual we celebrate today was introduced by Unitarian minister Norbert Chapek at the first anniversary of the founding of the Unitarian Fellowship that he and his wife established in Prague in the Czech Republic. The date was June 24th, 1923. The Flower Communion has become a traditional spring service in many Unitarian Universalist churches. So we thought you would be interested in hearing Chapek's own words to describe the first service. It was from a letter written to Samuel Aiken Elliott, who was the president of the American Unitarian Association at that time. And I quote, "On that very Sunday, it was the last before the holidays. Everybody was supposed to bring with him a flower. In my sermon, I put emphasis on the individual character of each member flower, on our liberty as a foundation of our fellowship. Then I emphasized our common cause, our belonging together as one spiritual community, as brethren. And I said, when they go home, each is to take one flower just as it comes, without making any distinction where it came from and whom it represents, to confess that we accept each other as brothers and sisters without regard to class, race, or other distinction, acknowledging everybody as our friend who is a human and wants to be good." This is the meaning that the Flower Communion had for its creator, Norbert Chapek. May our participation in this ritual today serve to unite us as a strong spiritual community, just as it did for those Unitarians so many years ago.
So we're talking about seeds. Here's what our transcendentalist forefather Henry David Thoreau had to say about them. "Though I do not believe that a plant will spring up where no seed has been, I have great faith in a seed. Convince me that you have a seed there, and I am prepared to expect wonders."
And here's a poem by Ravi Hanamana that describes a seed. It's called The Autobiography of a Seed. "I am a seed. I was a fruit. I was a flower. I was a tree. I was a plant. I was a seed. Thus came the evolution, from a seed to a seed. That was my life. That was my beginning and end. I began once again, to end as another seed. I repeat my cycle, but all to end as a seed, and to begin as a seed. But in the process, I become many seeds, fruits and plants for the living world. I am the essence of life. I am the spring of all generations. Within me, my life is well defined. My growth is well set. All the future seeds are well preserved. An entire universe is ever present."
That is wonderful. So, an American writer and educator, Henry Van Dyke, will advise us to look around for a place to sow a few seeds.
But does the word seed mean something real or something else as well? Here's what the Buddha tells us. The heart is like a garden. It can grow compassion or fear, resentment or love. What seeds will you plant there?
Charles Fillmore, the founder of the the Unity Church, believed that words are also seeds. And when they're dropped into the invisible spiritual substance, they grow and bring forth after their kind.
Yes, we need to be careful with our words and our actions too, and make sure they are not harmful to others or ourselves. Scottish novelist and poet Robert Louis Stevenson remind us, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, by the seeds that you plant.
the founder of chiropractic, Daniel D. Palmer, made a little poem about this idea. Little deeds are like little seeds. They grow to flowers or to weeds.
Argentinian human rights activist and recipient of the 1980 Nobel Peace Prize, Adolfo Pérez Esquivel, puts it in this way. We know we cannot plant seeds with closest fist. To sow, we must open our hands.
English novelist of the Victorian era, Marianne Evans, using the pen name of George Eliot, concludes her novel Middlemarch with a touching tribute to the heroine of the story, Dorothea, and how even small deeds add up and spread widely to contribute to the good in the world. The effect of Dorothea's being on those around her was incalculably diffusive, for the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and that things are not so ill with you or me as they might have been, is half owing the number of people who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs.
The 4th century Greek bishop Saint Basil speaks of the same continuity of goodness. A tree is known by its fruit. A man is known by his deeds. A good deed is never lost. He who sows courtesy reaps friendship, and he who plants kindness gathers love.
There is a Spanish saying that compares a seed to an echo. La vida es como un eco.
Life is like an echo.
Lo que das, recibes. Lo que siembras, cosechas.
What you give, you will receive. What you sow, you will harvest.
Lo que ves en others es tu propio reflejo.
What you see in others is your own reflection.
La vida es como el eco. Siempre te regresa lo que das.
Life is like an echo. Always you will receive what you give.
Chinese business magnate Jack Ma, owner and executive chairman of Alibaba Group, a family of internet-based businesses, notes the generational benefit of sowing lots of good seeds. Young people will harvest the seeds you bury in their minds, and when they grow up, they will change the world.
Okay, now that we're all blooming. So I've been reading a couple of books about seeds in preparation for this service. And the first book, the kids might be interested in seeing, it's got all different kinds of seeds on it. And it's written by Thor, not that Thor, Thor Hansen, a conservation biologist, and it's entitled The Triumph of Seeds, How Grains, Nuts, Kernels, Pulses, and Pips Conquered the Plant Kingdom and Shaped Human History. He attributes the writing of this book to his son, who at a very young age became somewhat obsessed with seeds. Anything that had seeds, from strawberries to squashes to sesame bagels. It led to Hansen's realization that the influence of seeds, quote, reaches far beyond the edge of the forest and field. Seeds are vital everywhere. They transcend that imaginary boundary we erect between the natural world and the human world. Telling their story reminds us of our fundamental connections to nature, to plants, animals, soils, seasons, and the process of evolution itself. And in an age where at the first time with more than half the human population living in cities, it reaffirms those links and has never been more important. Hansen structures his book around the 5 reasons he believes that seed plants steadily gained advantage over other types of plants. He tells us seeds nourish, unite, endure, defend, and travel. After all we've been hearing today, there is an obvious connection, isn't there, in this structure to the symbolism that seeds hold for us as well. So, seeds nourish. If we feed others with kind words and helpful actions, we can see how these types of seeds go far to nourish the emotional and psychological hunger that we all have as humans, and therefore they help us to thrive and not just exist. Contrast those kinds of seeds with words of bullying, meanness, or hate, or actions that are belligerent and aggressive and meant to shame or belittle or rob someone of their dignity. Seeds unite. Yes, when people feel comfortable or even loved in their surroundings, they feel like they belong. Kind words and deeds encourage this. Bad seeds will do just the opposite. People will feel left out, marginalized, unimportant. They feel alone, lonely, sad. Seeds endure. This is an extremely important concept. Seeds, as we know, can reproduce to sprout again and again, and so can kind words and deeds. Similarly, we are the products of all the kind seeds, as well as the bad ones, that have gone before us. These may have been small, simple acts or words from our parents or grandparents, and those they passed on from their parents and their grandparents. Here's a seed my mother passed down to me indirectly. My mother, whose birthday it would have been May 30th. She always thought they were having the parades for Memorial Day in her honor when she was a little girl. But here's the seeds that she passed down to me, and she lived these words daily. I actually found these written in her own handwriting in one of her journals shortly after she died. The quote is, "I shall pass this way but once. Any good I can do or any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." In researching this quote a little more, I found that it came from Etienne de Grellet, anglicized to Stephen Grellet, who was a French-born American Quaker missionary who lived in the late 18th century into the 19th century. That gentle admonition of his endured from his time into my mother's time in the 20th century, into my time, and so I pass it on to you now in the 21st century, so that it will continue to endure like the cycle of a seed's life. And one other compelling feature of seeds, they can lie dormant for years, decades, millennia sometimes, and still spring to life when planted. They just need to be planted. Seeds defend. Biologically, of course, this refers to the seed protecting itself so it and its progeny may survive. But I think the connection to kind words and actions is still relevant. Such things as kind words and actions do protect us against the enemies of love and goodness. They provide hope, at least, that the malicious and cruel occurrences in our lives, whether small or large, can be balanced and dealt with when shored up by good deeds. Seeds travel. Again, biologically, this is the feature of seeds, allowing them to move into different habitats and adapt and survive. They may be taken by the wind, by water, by animals, or even humans to other locations, where the benefits they provide can also flourish. If we also try to make our seeds travel beyond our own backyards and neighborhoods by visiting new places like Miss Rumphius, or into new parts of the world, and still be using our good words and deeds, the influence of goodness can spread globally, seed by seed by seed. The other book I'm reading is by Jane Goodall, British anthropologist, UN Messenger of Peace, and as we well know, the foremost expert on chimpanzees. So Jane's book is called Seeds of Hope, Wisdom and Wonder from the World of Plants. Goodall reminisces when she tells us that, quote, Seeds have a kind of magic that has fascinated me ever since I was a child. I used to line a glass jam jar with blotting paper, fill it with damp earth or sawdust, and put different kinds of seeds between paper and glass. For me, it was nothing short of a miracle every time I saw those little thread-like roots appear and grow downward, and the little shoot bursting through the seed coat and thrusting toward the light. Her book focuses mainly on environmental issues around the world and how hope to reverse some of the problems is alive and well and working in many places. Yet even that seems analogous to our Sowing Seeds discussion. If the dangers to the greenness of our planet are similar to the poisoning of our minds and souls with malicious deeds and words, then surely there is hope that seeds of beauty and joy and love can also reverse some of the meanness and cruelty that exists in the world. We all have the seeds to do this. They were handed down to us by all the generations before us. All we have to do is plant them and pass them on to the next generation. Now is always the time.